Welcome everyone for another ranked review, and this time we have Jay playing Drongo carry. I selected that match because I feel like it was a very good educational one. We're gonna learn a lot about how you should be playing better the early wave with an aggressive dual lane, which I feel like Jay didn't do very well, but then Jay gave us a masterclass on how you should be positioning in teamfight. And so if you have trouble as a carry learning how to teamfight, definitely watch that one. As usual, we're gonna cover the build order and the items quickly. On Drongo, we have the old Rusty first that help with the wave clear and the poke, then the rad runs for maximized damage, then the gag grenade to have all three abilities, and then we start maxing up the rad rounds for trades. In terms of abilities priority, we have of course the shrapnel cannon, the ultimate first. Here we decided to max the rad rounds, then the old Rusty, then the gag grenade. In terms of itemization, we have selected the Liberator Crest, and then we have the Vanquisher into Tented Round, into Sky Splitter, into Demolisher, into Equinox. So kind of a heavy crit damage items build, but also with a lot of attack speed thanks to the Tainted Round and Sky Splitter being selected as a third slot. Let's jump into the match. Jay on Drongo playing the carry role, and he's facing against Toasty and Lakeonator, the dual lane of Dirty Lake and the boys. They do have an Narbash Kira lane. With a Muriel Drongo, I feel like you should always be in control. You should try to play around your early level transition. One thing you have to be careful though is the Sunk. Here we can see we have Jay trying to be a little bit aggressive with using the old Rusty on them, but also the wave. But I already don't like that play that much at all, because we really don't want the lane to push at all, in my opinion. We really want the next wave to be fully neutral and be able to play maybe a level 2 transition. And by doing that, you see we're already pushing a little bit the wave, and the wave is gonna end up very close to the enemy tower. So we lose any potential to be very aggressive with the level 2 transition. You have a Muriel, you have a Drongo, they have a Kira Narbash. That means that at any point, if you want to get the push, it's very easy for you to do. So you don't have to do anything. So here we're trying to play with the level 2. As we can see, Jay is trying to position himself to be a little bit aggressive, which I kind of like, but at the same time, he's just walking forward. And here we can see that we already lose an opportunity because we hard pushed the first wave. If you want to play the level 2 transition, you need to have the first wave to be completely neutral, and even at that point, against a Narbash carry, you can even let them push into you. And so you just last it, and then you can old Rusty the wave, take advantage of the level 2, and then suddenly the enemy team has a long time to walk away. And here you can see the wave is still on their tower. There is absolutely no aggression possible, and so the Narbash Kira lane is just fully chilling. And this is something I see time and time again, people not understanding how they should be playing the early waves to be able to get an advantage. And here we see that Jay is going for rotation, gonna try to get that river buff, is gonna get it. But I think it's not correct. Once again, you get only 30 gold, while a melee minion is 28 gold. And you can see here, you already missed 2 melee minion. The other people are already level 3, it's only level 2. So once again, that's a timing, this level 3 transition should have been a timing that the Muriel Drongo should have been able to apply some pressure, and they don't. At least here we have the wave that was bouncing back. There was still 2 more minions, and once again Jay here is hard shoving the wave. And that's very bad because Lakeonator and Toasty push back the wave, and so you should take that advantage of the wave being pushed back, because if you look in the jungle, your jungle is coming around. So if you let the wave push, then you can have a freeze with your jungler being close by, and that suddenly makes the wave very complicated for Lakeonator and Toasty to navigate, and they cannot really crash it. They have the crash around, and you offer an opportunity for your jungler, taking advantage of your strong early levels. But here we don't do that, and unfortunately also here we see that the Muriel has gone back to base, but because Jay pushed 2-3 more minions that he should have, suddenly the wave is frozen and he cannot step up really to get any last hit. So with the stronger dual lane by far, Narbash Kira has no way to be able to contest a Muriel Drongo. We already have seen that for the first 3 level, we didn't create any decent opportunity. We didn't set up a good gank for our jungler when we got the opportunity to do so. And we also miss a few last hits simply because we zone ourselves out because of bad wave management. So it looks like since nobody died, there is no kills, nothing. It looks actually well, we're actually doing a good game, but we can see already there is like a lot of like mistakes that have been made here. I kind of like one thing you need to be careful against like Narbash is dodging the sunk every time you try to be aggressive, and that's exactly what Jay does here. But here we can see like overall there was a lot of opportunity, a lot of missing opportunities. And when you play like against a Narbash and a Kira that scales so well, like missing those early game opportunities are actually like very, very damaging. So here we're getting like a little bit of a trade because the Muriel has gone for the rotation and we're trying like to go like for the fight in the 1v2 scenarios. To be fair, like any trade in that situation is not really good because then Toasty can just like simply heal. We get the Muriel that is back, but now Jay is way too low on health and way too low on mana to be able to make anything happen. And so now once again, like Toasty and Lekinator having the time of their life, scaling with the Narbash Kira lane. And yeah, just Jay and People's Show not creating anything meaningful. But in my opinion, like we don't create anything meaningful. It mainly comes from like bad wave management on the early waves. And here we can see that the Zarus is not going to go for the invade and going to come from behind. That's for sure gonna secure the flash or the death. We're gonna get like the flash in, gonna try to get some damage. We get the gag grenade. Maybe we survive that, but we get the flash lost. And in a situation that the wave is gonna crash. So overall, like here, Jay having a trouble. And so this Muriel Drongo lane kind of struggling. And a lot of people would say like, yeah, but hey, we got ganked. Like Happy Picker came at the right timing while Gratty didn't come a single time. Yeah, but once again, like why did Gratty didn't come is because you never set up the wave correctly for him to come. Once again, like a jungler, you have to set up things for him to be able like to take advantage of it. And there was like a perfect situation early on for that to happen. But yeah, we are at push 3 more minions and suddenly this whole situation is gone. And people can tell also like, yeah, but it's only like 3 more minions. It's like that big of a deal. Well, actually in a game like Predecessor, it is actually a big deal. Like it is those little things that create like the difference between you having a freeze for like 3 minutes and them having a freeze for 3 minutes. So you really need to start looking at those opportunities to try to fully take advantage of them. Here once again, like we're trying to poke a little bit with the Ulvarsty, is kind of nice, but we're gonna have like the wave that is like in front of the enemy tower. But we got the level 6, so here we're gonna look for the aggression. Very well played. Good reaction by Toasty. Lekinator very, very low. And so here we're gonna get like a pretty easy crash. Should be like here an opportunity for Gratty to come to get like the Fang Tooth because he has nothing to do in the red side. But unfortunately he's not coming for it. So here, in my opinion, a little mistake of the jungler, but I also feel like probably the dual lane, instead of like being under tower, they should call for the Fang Tooth and like force like Gratty to rotate around. We see that the mid lane was slightly advantageous because Gratty was mid and they have like full priority on the dual lane, so that was a free Fang Tooth for them here, instead of like pressuring a little bit the tower. That 8 minutes since the tower have had it protection is not really valuable. So we're gonna go back to base, I think finish the Vanquisher here to be able to get like some good damage. And here the wave is gonna like start to bounce back a little bit, so we're just gonna go back to lane and keep going on with the last hit. And you can see like Lekinator a few last hit ahead, despite the fact that they have like the toughest matchup. Like they're not supposed to win the early game at all. And here we don't really respect the fact that the Narbash is around. We're trying like to fight into Lekinator. We're gonna use the ultimate. We keep like the gag grenade for a very long time to cancel the crash bang boom. That's very well played, but overall there is a little bit too many auto attack that are missed. We're trying to dodge as much as we can, try to take the explosive flower, but it's not gonna be enough and we're gonna end up dying. Overall, I think they should be able to win that fight if like they don't like fumble in terms of mechanics. But at the same time, you need also to respect Toasty potentially being behind the fog wall. And so that created like already like an initial advantage for Lekinator and Toasty here, sunk into the burst damage of the Kira. Usually like you're already starting for a deficit, which kind of forced the ultimate a little bit early from the Muriel, and suddenly like the whole fight is a little bit tough, and now we lose the Fang Tooth. So that's a huge blow, and that all come down of like not really respecting the fact that Toasty was behind. And here we walk back up, we have no flash, we have no ultimate, and we just like walk in aggressively when the enemy team just got the Fang Tooth. Like that's just bad. Like the enemy team get the Fang Tooth. I know the wave is frozen in front of tower, but that comes down from like the once again, not respecting, like simply not respecting that Narbash behind the fog wall costs you 2 deaths, a Fang Tooth, a lot of CS, and yeah, so that's why like you need to pay attention to those things as well. Probably also like Jay should be like playing on the left side of the lane. If the Muriel is already there, like as the carry, you have the right to push the Muriel towards the right side of the lane. So it's super important that you also position yourself correctly from the lane. And here, once again, we step up. We have no ultimate. We have no flash. Okay, the ultimate is back. So maybe we're gonna survive that because like we're not gonna die, or maybe not. Ooh, and though we lose also the flash. Gonna get the flash from Happy Picker and we're gonna die. Kreti is gonna pick up the kill, but yeah, once again, I feel like we overstep a little bit. In the end, it works out very well for the team because we get like 3 kills and we only lose Jay. But I feel like it's overchased also by the side of the Dusk team. Like as soon as we got like the flash, we should like not follow that up. And we should be fine. But yeah, we kind of want to force the crash because we don't want to leave like the wave frozen, but for that you need to wait for your teammate to be around. You cannot force it by yourself. And once again, like this whole situation, that's sometimes that happens quite a lot in games, is one mistake that you feel like is not really that important kind of starts snowballing in something like very dramatic. And here we have seen like also like this moment that you feel comply to step up to break the freeze, well, it comes down to once again you didn't respect the Narbash behind the fog wall, and that created all this chain of event that now means that you already like died 3 times. And yeah, it's pretty rough. It's pretty rough. So that means also like Lyconator is starting to get ahead in terms of farm, which means it's like makes it complicated for you to be able to fight the 1v1. And suddenly like that Drongo pick that have like a lot of like early game power has been completely nullified by the enemy team. So here we're trying like to box a little bit, but we lose the box. Probably I think Lyconator has much better like damage, so we are forced like to fully go for the reset. And once again, like here Lyconator could be like in full control of that wave. To be honest, here once again I feel like Jay is making a mistake of not like understanding what he should be doing in that specific moment in lane. In my opinion, he's not strong enough to be able to fight Lyconator that is ahead on farm in the 1v1 scenario, so he should be just trying to like farm. But he actually tried to box his opponent on the timing that is behind, and so like suddenly he lose the box, like the trade, and now he's also like losing additional farm because of it and offering like Lyconator a free gold buff and all those things. And so this is where also like sometimes don't force things if you don't have to force them. Like if you're actually weaker than your opponent, it's on your opponent to actually like force trade to get an advantage. But if you're just trading like evenly on the situation that you're weaker, well, you're actually like doing good for your team. So here we're still like trying to find like opportunities to stay inside the game. Like the dual lane has been having a lot of trouble. To be fair, the Narbash Kira has been like a pretty good early game into a Muriel Drongo lane. Like we have seen, there is a lot of tiny mistakes that kind of contributed to that. And the mistake started with how we played the first wave of that game. And that's why also like when you enter into a game, you should be like watching what is like the fight. Here we're gonna try like to rotate to help a little bit the team. We get information of where everyone is. We're not gonna drop, we're gonna stay like on top here, but we get like some good damage from the Grux. And here we're gonna wait that the enemy team is focused on the enemy, and then as soon as we see that the Grux is gonna fall, we just like reposition ourselves to not like be into enemy target. And here we're trying to find another opportunities, and so unfortunately we don't end up killing anyone, but I kind of like what Jay is doing. And this is where like Jay, I feel like also selected that game because yeah, I feel like the laning phase is catastrophic. I think there is like not much that is good. We don't really understand. Here unfortunately we as on the ward, we're trying to make a trap, but the enemy team has full information, so they're gonna flash in, be aggressive. We're gonna try to use the shrapnel cannon, but unfortunately we're gonna end up dying. But yeah, like I said, I feel like the laning phase is kind of catastrophic. And what I was saying is like when you enter the game, look at your matchup on the dual lane, look at the enemy matchup on the dual lane, and you should already know how you want to play the first 3-4 wave of that dual lane. You already know exactly how you want to use your abilities on the wave, on them, how you see that 3-4 first wave. You should already know all of that. But then like here in Teamfight, I love what Jay is doing. He captures information of where like everyone else is, and then he does doesn't like show himself to be like the first point of contact. He tried to find angle that he can DPS someone, but with never exposing himself that he end up like in the middle of the fight. And unfortunately, like we didn't find like any kill potential, but we DPS like quite a lot. Like we see he dropped down, suddenly like he realized that his teammate was going to die, so he doesn't stay in front of the 3 people, and then he decided to focus the next target that was in his back, regrouping with Grati. Then we see that we cannot like hold that ground, so then he rotate towards the top of the healing mid lane, and then like get additional damage onto Wumbo, the steal, and at the end gonna just like disengage cleanly. And that's what you should be looking as carry. I feel like Jay is doing like a wonderful job when it comes to teamfight positioning in that game, and so I think it was a very, very educative game, both on like showing mistake of like the early game that actually like a lot of missed opportunities, many days that shouldn't have happened overall. But also like then also like good positioning in teamfight, that there is going to be plenty more that we are going to see that kind of helps you to understand a little bit better what you should be doing as a teamfight, in teamfight as a carry. So here we have Grati that is covering, so it's fine like to step up, and here we see that like Jay is fully baiting for Grati. We're gonna get like the Muriel ultimate as well. Very well played by Jay. Leconator felt confident that he could box the 1v1, and actually he can, but previously like Jay kind of still tried to box even if he was like weaker. So in the mind of Leconator, like that could have been like once again like that type of situation, because Jay didn't like play the per situation correctly. But this time Jay did the good thing of actually baiting, and Grati like followed that up that pretty well. We get also the Muriel ultimate, and now we secure like a nice kill onto Leconator. So here we're walking back. We do have like Happy Picker being here. That's super greedy by Happy Picker, but Happy Picker, no stranger of doing very, very greedy plays. Luckily for him, we didn't like connect with the old Rusty to get the slow, so no deaths or no like flash blink to be used to survive. And so here we're just waiting. As you can see, the Muriel is not around, and here like Jay is doing the right thing. Like you don't step up into that wave because you cannot really like step up because you don't have support. And here you can see like he still like wait patiently for the right moment, and that's exactly what you should be doing. Sometimes you cannot step up for the wave, and I hope, like I wish like Jay was also doing that for the first 15 minutes, which wasn't the case. Here we see that Toasty like stepping forward aggressively, but once again we're not going to contest because there is nobody around, and if they decide to push this tier 2 tower, then the rest of the team can collapse. And as you can see here, we have the crunch, we have the Muriel, we have the Grux arriving. We're gonna use like the damage. That's gonna be like a dead Toasty, and then we're gonna follow up onto the next target, which is the Kira, and we're gonna use the team. And so here, once again, like very, very, very well played. Here we played the wave perfectly. To be honest, Toasty and Leconator do a big mistake of stepping forward like that, but Jay played correctly here. You wait for the right timing, you kind of retreat to your tier 2 tower, then your team should stop pushing, and then you get your wave. But if they keep pushing, then you wait for your team to arrive, you kind of bait them in, and suddenly it's a double kill for your team that can open up potentially like the Fang Tooth after it respawn, because you're gonna get like a lot of map pressure both mid lane and left lane thanks to that play. We're also going to take advantage of that moment to get a recall. We already have finished like the Vanquisher and the Tented Round, and now we're finishing the Sky Splitter. And so here we kind of catch up. Like we're 30 CS down on Leconator, but with the kills and the shutdowns, we're still like catching up, and we're pretty even in terms of like itemization and levels. So we're pretty good. Overall here, unfortunately, the enemy team is taking like advantage and control of that zone. Grati is trying like to be a little bit aggressive, but maybe too much. But Wombo is taking a lot of damage. That's gonna be a lot of damage, and Wombo is dead. And here we can see like once again, Jen never stepping forward. Here there is people that are low of HP, but we don't force it, letting the Zarus in the backline. Like, oh, people are disengaging with an HP. Well, doesn't matter. We're gonna focus on the target that is in front of us, and that's what you should be doing as a carry in teamfight. Position yourself in a way that you can always damage someone, but never in a way that suddenly like people can turn on you. And so you don't really choose who you are DPSing as a carry in teamfight in Predecessor, but you just DPS what is in front of you and always try to position yourself that people cannot get the jump on you as a turn. And that's exactly what Jay does here. You can see play behind the fog wall. Grati is a little bit out of position, but like he's a carry, cannot like dive in to save him. Like what he can do is just try to deal as much damage while Grati is getting focused. That's exactly what Jay has done. And once like we see that we can start forcing and advancing a little bit, like Jay starting to advance at that time, and then we see the enemy team split. Instead of getting like sandwiched by the enemy team, just simply like disengage to keep like working on that Zarus, and suddenly like we start pushing back the enemy front line in a sense. Here we're looking once again, we're not stepping too far forward, there is someone in range, so we start auto attacking it. Now we shift, and you can see because we keep like this good positioning, now we can attack Wombo and dodge also the shield slam, and now finally like people are down, we can look at something. Grati was a little bit too deep, the enemy team, but here we're gonna like try to play like a good old Rusty on multiple people. We use the shrapnel cannon. Here we're trying to make something happen. That was a little bit aggressive, but it worked out because we played pretty well with another things, which is first we played with the corridor, and also we play with like the right shoulder pick advantage. There is a right shoulder pick advantage into Predecessor, and so that's why Jay was positioning on the left side and not on the right side, and he took advantage of that. And then he knew that with the shrapnel cannon he can disengage, and then when he disengage, immediately he go behind the pillar to once again like cut vision and also like make it like risky for the enemy team to keep pursuing him. So overall, like his positioning in teamfight, here we're going like very aggressive. Luckily for him, he dodged the sunk, but here it's too much in my opinion. Like he's frontlining as the carry while his team is not really looking to make anything happen. We're gonna use the gag grenade, we're trying to get some good damage, we're gonna get the slow from people's show plus the shield, so that's gonna be enough, and we're gonna manage to like probably turn that around. This still is just like dashing away, and now we have to disengage. Here, one of the rare positioning mistake I feel like from Jay, so he cannot stay in that team fight because he's a little bit too low. Like he tried to force something without checking where are his opponents before, and as you can see, like he dodged the sunk, but if the sunk connect, like he would have exploded immediately, and even with the sunk not connecting, he still like end up like losing the trade because it wasn't a good one to take. But here we have reset, we're coming back to the fight, trying to get something. Once again, you can see like there is like low HP target, but it doesn't like step forward to get to them. If it does that, maybe get the trade 1-for-1, but most likely just end up dying. And so here it's really something as a carry, there is a zone that the enemy team is controlling, and there is a zone that your team is controlling. And so you should always be on that limit that you're in the zone that your team is controlling, but you can auto attack in the zone that the enemy team is controlling. So, and that's what like Jay is doing here. Like you shouldn't like overstep your welcome, especially since now he's 9-4-2. He has a huge bounty, as we have seen on the scoreboard, like 580 gold. It's a lot of gold to give the enemy team if they got the shutdown, so you don't want that to happen. We're also like working towards a demolisher, waiting for everyone to be back on the map. Like here the ore prime is up, but I don't think any team is like that far ahead that they can force it without getting kills before. So we're gonna look at getting like maybe river buff. Here we get the gray buff. Gray buff is always wonderful, especially on the carry, allow you to like rotate faster, but it's easier also for you to kite, to chase people, because it kind of nullify like the basic attack penalty, these type of things. And so here we're working, and here once again, like he positioned himself to be besides Grati, behind Grati. We don't want to walk forward. Here we don't walk through that choke point because we don't have a tank. Only if the front line walks through that choke point, then we follow up. And that's like a good rule of thumb of how to play like those situations. And that's what Jay is doing like wonderfully here. That kind of allow him to be like a strength and like a force to be reckoned with in that match, despite the pretty horrible early game that we have seen. So here we're trying to bait like this ore prime, trying to find an opportunity, playing like the corners. Like Grux is very strong at playing corners, so that's why like maybe we're trying to make something. But once again, like Jay is not the first point of contact. He's always like trying to be in a position that he can follow up if some engage happened. Here Omain trying to be the first point of contact as a carrier. As you can see, like how we get punished super hard. He loses 60% of his health and he like very limited amount of damage to the enemy team. And here once again, like Jay is trying to get information of where is the enemy team. Grati is going in, and so now we're gonna try to follow up first, once again, not being the first point of contact, trying to find opportunity. And here we understand that we control the left side of the mid lane, so we try to walk up in that direction. Once again, this notion of what is my team controlling, what is the enemy team controlling, and trying to position yourself based on that. And even if here we see that Jay was like actually stepping forward quite a lot, is we have Wombo trying to go in, but his team is not in a position to be able to follow up. So here we're gonna like try to focus, and you can see how Jay is always like checking on his left side to like, should I keep like damaging Wombo? Is it safe to walk in that direction? Should I turn on my teammate? Like he's doing that like very, very well. And here he's gonna try to disengage. Unfortunately, the rest of the team like get a little bit surprised. Here we're gonna get like some aggression. We're gonna go here with the shrapnel cannon. We do have the Grux that goes in, and not because Grux is the first point of contact. Jay is like ready to follow up, deal some damage from behind, but immediately, as you can see, he doesn't chase like too much, and then he turns immediately on the Zarya. Gonna try to box into Lyconator. Unfortunately, doesn't win, but once again, like very, very good positioning. Every time, like in all those team fights, you can see Jay looking at the positioning of all his enemies and then positioning himself based on that. And then like he waits for engagement point until a teammate like finally makes something happen, and then he tries to follow up. But here we see the Grux starting like to follow up so much on the Narbash because the Grux needs to kill it because he's a melee character. But then we see also Jay like he realized that no, we have the Zarus and the Kia that are a threat for him, so he stopped the chase and turned his attention towards like the right target, trying to always position himself in a way that is like hard for the enemy team to go on him. And so like really a masterclass when it comes to teamfight positioning. I think a very, very good educational game. And so here we're gonna secure like the Primal Fangtooth for the Dawn team. We're gonna have Jay that is like just respawn. It was like one of the only one dying previously, but it like at the expense of a lot of life on the Dusk side, so that resulted in that Primal Fangtooth. So it's also like a thing that is important as a carry, is if you position yourself correctly, and of course that depends on your level of play, but if you position yourself correctly and the enemy team has to overcome it to get to you, to kill you, because you position yourself perfectly, like for instance if they have to use like 4 flash plus 4 ultimate, like you're gonna die. Like if they want you dead, you're gonna die because you're a carry. But if they have to spend like that much to get to you, if you're positioned correctly, that means then the rest of the fight is gonna be to the advantage of your team, and your team can clean up. So you all already have did your job. So here we try like to use the Liberator. We're gonna use the shrapnel cannon. Here we're under pressure, so the most important thing is trying to reposition ourselves. We get the flash out, and once again here we flash in the zone that our team is controlling, not in like a direction that the enemy team can be like around. And here we kind of slow down this whole situation. Like we were under a lot of pressure. Our job was to actually like try to survive, try to reposition ourselves. Here we're trying like to find an entry, like stop a little bit like the damage, be a little bit aggressive, and here we finally turn it around because we have a Primal Fangtooth, and we kind of play like with the wall, so we cannot get DPS, we cannot get CC, and we managed to turn that fight around. And that's exactly what I was saying here. Like they use a lot to try to get onto Jay, and Jay reacted very well with like the shrapnel cannon, then the flash, positioning himself correctly, not fully running away, staying like in the zone that his team is controlling to be able to deal like enough damage. And that allows his team to be able to turn the fight around afterwards, because yeah, they use a lot of resources to get to Jay, but they don't get the kill, and then like Jay position himself, they kind of slow down the fight, and suddenly they don't have enough resources to win that fight anymore against a Primal Fangtooth. Now we got the All Prime. We're gonna like start pushing like very, very, very aggressively. And here it's all prime buff on all 5 people with like kind of a slight lead, and so that should be enough to at least like secure that inhibitor. Maybe we can secure more, but that's definitely like the game being like secured on that team fight play, in my opinion. So we're gonna steal like the jungle, always like a good things to do when you just win a team fight. You just go into the jungle and steal what the enemy team has in their own jungle. That way you can like get more resources for yourself, but also like deny resources for the enemy team. And then like we're just gonna go back to base, finish the Equinox, working on one more rapid repair. I don't think like at that point we're gonna get like any more like buys. And here we're gonna like keep pushing. We're setting up like the mid wave, and here you can see like when you're in that situation, you look at the map and is my team in a position ready to push anything? And you can see that there is nothing. So Jay is just like waiting around here, not doing anything because there is not much to be done. And now that Gratty is here, now we're walking forward with the jungle. We're gonna like try to make something happen here on that side. We feel that we are strong. We have the Oprime, the Muriel is behind, but as we get like push back, we just like disengage, and here we're waiting for more of the team. We see that the Grux is on the right side, so here we're just like trying to play like some corners. We're gonna get the Gag Grenade after the shield is gone, and we're gonna try to turn that fight. We're gonna get the Narabash. Now we're turning to the next target. We have to be careful though, because there is a lot of people here, and in the end they lose the 2v4, but the reality here of that fight was like to try to win time, like make them like as hard as possible. Here the rest of the team is coming, stopping any back, and you can see that on the other side of the map we do have the Grux that is actually like split pushing, and Grim.exe is pretty strong. He's gonna be able like to clean up. We only have the Zarus that is going to go back to base, gonna finally secure, but in the end it's not gonna be enough. Like here we have the Grux going aggressively with the Warlord challenge. The Zarus cannot really like beat that fight, so he's gonna try to dash away, and now we have like 16 minions pounding onto the enemy core, and that's gonna be the W. So a very nice game, I feel like, because it shows you like a duality of like mistake made into the early game, how you should be playing better those early waves, but also like I think it was a very textbook game of like how you should be positioning yourself as a carry. I hope you enjoyed that match, and I will see you in the next ranked review. I'm out.